Hi, I'm Ashwini. Let's just go through the contents of the presentation. Firstly, we'll discuss about the book and the movie derived from it. Then we'll discuss about the author and journey map of the travel. After that, we'll talk about the characters, plot, some scene, and finally some conclusion. The Motorcycle Diaries is a movie released in 2004 and is based on a memoir by the same name. Both the book and the movie are based on the life of Ernesto, that is Che Guevara. The book is a compilation of a set of travel diaries that the compiled book was published in 1993. The plot broadly describes the journey of two friends across Latin America. Ernesto is described as a 23-year-old medical student, while his friend Alberto is a 29-year-old biochemist. The book gives one an inside view into the beauty of Latin America using detailed paragraphs to describe the scenery. The diaries end with a declaration by Che Guevara displaying his willingness to fight and die for the poor and had a vision for United America. The movie was directed by Walter Salles. Salles revealed in an interview that he had to undertake the journey three times before completion of the movie. Moreover, he was helped by the real Alberto Granado in realizing the memoir. As per Salas, making the film was especially challenging since the text was written when he was just a common man, whereas now he is one of the icons of the Cuban Revolution. Hence, the text, which is kind of sacred in Latin America, had to be modified appropriately. The film was made after extensive research, which had its origins in 1999 and took 5 years to complete. The movie The Motorcycle Diaries also gives us an account of filmmaker's curiosity to explore his continent. Salas once said in an interview, I think there was a common denominator, which is the search for one's identity and for one's place in the world, in answer to why he chose Guevara as the protagonist. He went to say that the world is blinded by Che's ideology and fails to see his humane side. So the journey starts in Buenos Aires, Argentina, where Ernesto is pursuing his medical studies. Next, they travel to Miramar and meet Ernesto's girlfriend, Chichina. The next stop is Los Angeles in Chile, where they meet Mrs. Rosa, a terminally ill patient. Moving on, they travel to Chuquicamata mines, where they meet a communist couple and experience the misery of laborers firsthand. The pair then travels to Machu Picchu, Peru. The overwhelming beauty and their meeting with the Incas stand out as important events here. Still in Peru, they meet Dr. Lima, who introduces them to the leprosy program. Ernesto and Alberto then travel to leprosy colony in San Pablo and stay there for Ernesto's 23rd birthday. They end their journey in Caracas, Venezuela. Now let's talk about the characters. The first one is Ernesto. The role of Ernesto, the memoir's author and the protagonist of the movie, was enacted by Gael Garcia Bernal. The movie depicted a significant amount of resemblance between the on screen character and the real life Ernesto Guevara. The character was born in Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina, and was diagnosed with asthma at the age of 1. In the final year of his medical graduation, he decides to go on a trip across entire South America with his friend Alberto. The role of Alberto was enacted by Rodrigo de la Serna. He is 29, a biochemist by profession, Che's best friend, and decided to explore entire South America with him on their bike, the Mighty One. He is far more practical than Ernesto and occasionally short tempered too, but tries to stay dignified. And every one of them will be like that, was his response when he and Jay were denied a free place to stay for a night during their journey. This is a huge comment on his short tempered nature. Alberto doesn't care about money at all, and he once gambled the only soul he had to fulfill his desires. The plot can be seen as a division into four parts. First, exposition. This part basically deals with the time when Guevara was in his final year of graduation to the time when they were about to start their journey. It basically is a build up of the vision they had of their journey and the plans they had made about it. They decided to explore the natural beauty of Latin America with their naked eyes, about which they had otherwise only read about in books. Second, rising action. After they leave Chichina's house, the Mighty One breaks down several times. Although this reduces the pace of their journey, it had a big positive aspect too, as now they could interact with more people on their way instead of just traveling. It was as a result of their interaction that they are introduced to the atrocities faced by the native people for the first time. They meet a mining couple out of nowhere who tell them about their grievances and are accompanied by Ernesto and Alberto to the Chuquicamata mines, where the miners are randomly picked up and taken to work in the hazardous mines. Ernesto couldn't help but become angry at them for such behavior. Their next stop is Machu Picchu in Peru. On one hand, they are spellbound by the serene beauty of the Machu Picchu, whereas on the other hand, they come to know about the grievances of the Incas, the indigenous people of Peru. They realized that their existence would soon be history and was going to be replaced by a modernized civilization. All this had a great impact on the minds of both Ernesto and Alberto, and Ernesto impulsively suggested an idea of starting a revolution to fight for the cause of the needy. At this, Alberto replies by saying that a revolution without guns, it would never work. These dialogues show more of a Marxist approach of Ernesto, while Alberto is much less of a political thinker. Third is climax. After leaving Peru, they meet an acquaintance of Ernesto who introduces them to the San Pablo Leper program, which is basically a hospital for treating the patients suffering from leprosy. San Pablo ultimately becomes their next stop. They had a good feeling about the leper colony in the beginning, but after reaching San Pablo, they witnessed social diversity there too. The last part of the plot is resolution. The significance of this part can be understood as how the journey shaped what Ernesto would become in the future. Seeing the widespread impoverishment and inequality in Latin America, he had developed a resolution to start an armed revolution to liberate the natives. He had a conception of borderless, united Hispanic America sharing a common bond, and who knew that he would become the most important face in the Cuban Revolution and his name would be written in golden words in history of Latin America.
Hello, ma'am. I am Aniket and I will discuss the significant scenes and shots from the film. The Motorcycle Diaries is a well written and directed narrative style film. The movie runs about 110 minutes, and during these minutes, Salis has used his unusual techniques to show how the boys' experiences have affected their lives. Salis highlighted the beautiful scenes of South America so that viewers could appreciate the beautiful mountains, rivers, forests, and deserts that South America has to offer. On the other hand, he has also shown the harsh realities of the poverty stricken areas of the country. He uses the working class, peasants, and homeless to pose for black and white still shots in front of the camera. This helped to create the impression of memories that the boys put that as a result of their journey. The movie starts with an opening scene in which we are introduced to the two main characters, Ernesto and Alberto, through their short biographies about their education and lifestyle, as well as the journey that they are about to depart on. The image 1 shows Ernesto is packing for his trip, including books, medical supplies, and asthma equipment. This is a direct contrast to Alberto, who is only picking clothes and singing about good times. Image 2 is a close up of Ernesto, who had already been narrating during the opening titles in a non diegetic voiceover. The image 1 in this slide is a long shot of Alberto and Ernesto departing from the point of view of Ernesto's family. The lighting is bright, reflecting a happy and exciting tone. The motorcyclists comically avoid an accident as Ernesto's family anxiously watches. The image 2 is a high angle shot used to show Alberto highlighting their journey on a map of South America. The lighting condition in opening scenes is bright, which highlights the energy and positive mood of people. Their first layover is in Miramar to meet Ernesto's girlfriend Chichiana. The image 1 is a mid shot of Ernesto, isolated and appearing serious, watching people dance from the periphery. He's not wearing a suit like most of the other male characters. The image too shows that in contrast, Alberto is a confident dancer. The diegetic music is positive and energetic. The interior lighting is washed with gold reflecting the mood. The image one here is a bird's eye long view shot of Chichiana's family residence. The emphasis is on the wealth of her family as highlighted by their mansion surrounded by a well maintained lawn. Also, the motorcycles seem dwarfed compared to the mansion. The text at the bottom is provided by Salis that identifies the location, date, and distance traveled so far. This occurs throughout the movie. The image 2 is a long shot of Chichiana's house, where Ernesto's tent is foregrounded and seems impoverished in comparison to the mansion. In this scene, Ernesto visits Mrs. Rosa, and this occurs at the same time the Mighty One breaks down for the final time. In image 1, the lighting is dark, reflecting the more dull tone of this scene. Ernesto narrating a letter to his mother about his experience is the non-diegetic sound here. Image 2 is a close-up of Ernesto's face, used to highlight his sadness and despair at the fate of Mrs. Rosa. Up till now, three main events happened. Ernesto broke up with Chichiana, the Mighty One breaks down, and Ernesto treats Mrs. Rosa. But after these scenes, the film starts to take a turn from humorous to a serious tone. Now, on their way to Chiquikamata copper mine, they fall in with two mine workers who were forced out of their own home for advocating communism. Image 1 shows an isolated desert in which Alberto and Ernesto meet the couple on their way to the mine, highlighted through a mid-shot of Ernesto that draws attention to the terrain behind him. The image 2 is a mid-shot of Ernesto highlighting his untidy appearance as his face is dirty and unshaven. Dark lighting and shadows are used to create a serious tone. The only light is that of the campfire reflected on the faces of the group. Image 1 shows Ernesto and Alberto's appearance is similar to the communist couple. The link between them is established by the sharing of blankets and food, despite of the obvious background differences. The tragic expressions of the couples and lighting conditions are used to visibly remind the audience that the couple has faced many hardships. The characters are all stationary in the scene while the camera rotates from two friends to the couple to show how the words of one affect the other emotionally. The image 2 is a scene which shows a long shot of the group around the fire, symbolizing their bond against the darkness. Ernesto and Alberto sail to San Pablo to work as a volunteer at a leper colony. Image 1 is a long shot of Ernesto and Alberto crossing in the boat, establishing the distance between the two colonies. The river acts as a symbolic divide in Ernesto's eyes between the sick and healthy. Image 2 is a close-up of the handshake, highlighting that Ernesto and Alberto refuse to wear rubber gloves and are willing to touch the patients. Image 1 shows Ernesto extending his gratitude to the doctors and nurses of the leprosy hospital by thanking them for celebrating his birthday like one of their own. It is a medium shot emphasizing the importance of the toast he proposes. Image 2 is a point of view shot from the perspective of Ernesto. It depicts the seriousness of the moment as the people seem to be quietly listening to his speech. Image 1 shows the overcoming of the metaphorical barrier. Ernesto symbolically and impulsively swims the river despite his asthma. He had just made a political speech at the party about all of South America being really just one race, and this swim is his first action based on these words. The scene shows the significance of his relationship with the lower status leper people by crossing the symbolic river which divides the isolated island. The image 2 shows that the colony for the healthy is well lit up with substantial buildings. In contrast to that, the leprosy colony is shaky and has little electric lighting.
Long shots that pan across landscape is an integral part of Walter Seller's storytelling in the film The Motorcycle Diaries. In the book, the author has given a detailed account of the scenic beauty of South America. However, due to limited time in the movie, Walter Salas could only express those through landscapes. These landscapes also have one additional significance. Most of them had text written at the bottom, which are actually the lines spoken by the author to his mother or the viewers in a non diegetic tone. Some of the most prominent landscapes from the movie are shown in the next few slides. One of the earliest landscape shots of the movie is shown in the picture. It shows the transition from Buenos Aires, Argentina's capital, and Ernesto's hometown to Miramar. Miramar is the hometown of Chichena, Ernesto's girlfriend. Their journey has just been started, coming out of civilization to witness the natural beauty for the very first time. However, the bike looks quite overloaded with the baggage because they are shifting. In this picture, the author expresses in a diegetic tone, "We are still going strong, though the mighty one isn't so mighty anymore." This is the leave from Miramar for San Martin de Los Angeles, Argentina, after visiting Ernesto's girlfriend Chichina. This landscape showed the beauty of the journey. The smoke from the bike clearly resembles its poor condition. Melancholy for what is left behind and the excitement of entering a new land. This shot is from Lago Frias, Argentina. During this shot, Ernesto dreams of opening a clinic with his friend when they become old and tired. He also becomes nostalgic about his family and speaks to his mother in a non-diegetic tone. This shot is from Valparaiso, Chile. Shadow in this shot depicts sadness. The breakdown of the mighty one has happened. Ernesto has broken up with China, and now they are headed towards the copper mine. This shot is from Machu Picchu, Peru. It is a wide span shot to show the most beautiful location of the whole movie. In this shot, Ernesto phrases, "How can a civilization that created this be destroyed to build this?" So the first instance of the talk about a revolution between the two friends. However, there was a sharp contrast in their views, where Alberto was keen on an armless revolution, while Ernesto reasoned that a revolution without arms would not succeed. "Well boy, that's the ship. La Cenepa." Ernesto screams in excitement. This shot is from Lima to San Pablo, their final destination. The doctor asks the review about his novel. The doctor gives farewell to the two visitors. This scene shows the attachment of the local people with Ernesto and his friend Alberto. In this shot, we see the power of film as a visual medium, which is very different from theatre or a book. This is when Ernesto is on a steamboat on their way to San Pablo Leper colony in Peru. The steamboat is towing along a smaller, segregated boat carrying the more impoverished section of the society. He stares out into the smaller boat and feels the emotion stirring inside, which seems like some transformation happening amidst inner turmoil. The theme of the book and movie was somewhat similar. It shows poverty in Latin America where the miners were forced to work in hazardous mines. There was widespread poverty and misery amongst the native people. It shows the beauty of Latin America and the importance of travel. The characters encounter various landscapes like the Andes, Machu Picchu, and the Sacred Lake of Chile. The theme also revolves around transformation of Ernesto. He gets transformed from a medical student to a political thinker, and later on goes on to lead the famous Cuban Revolution. Conclusion and takeaways. The movie is among the many movies that encourage one to travel with an open mind and an understanding heart. It reminds us to appreciate the beautiful places waiting to be discovered, different customs to learn from, and the importance of new experiences. Probably it tries to motivate us to do our share in making the world a little more empathetic. Thank you.